Hi, welcome to Flightdeck Live, powered by SportBuff. If you go to sportbuffshop.com and use the code Flightdeck 10 at checkout, you will save 10% off your entire order. I'm Tim Capper, along with Cliffy D. Pine. How are you, bud? 3-0, 3-0 in the books, but yeesh, the end of that game.
I'm all for making it an exciting football game, and let's be honest, that first half, we thought that was going to be it, right? I mean, but we should know better, right? No lead is safe in the Canadian Football League, even if the Montreal Alouettes are arguably the most dominant team in the league right now. And don't take my word for it, ladies and gentlemen. If you saw that first half against the Edmonton Elks, they were dominating on every aspect of the field: offense, defense, special teams. The Elks had no prayer. They had no hope. There's nothing. But someone didn't tell Trey Ford that. Someone didn't tell Mark Killam that, because my goodness, they fought back. I give them a lot of credit. They fought back very hard, and I'm sure a lot of Edmonton fans are disappointed. Their home opener ends in a loss, but it was a hell of a fight.
It was, and considering what the final score is, by the way, it was Als beating the Elks 38-28 to move to 3-0 on this young season. Yeah, it's funny. We sometimes will say the score doesn't indicate how good or bad a game was. If you were to look at the score in the third quarter, that's how it was. It took a 22-10 run by Edmonton in the fourth quarter to make it as close. And it is close. It's still a 10-point win only. I mean, at one point, the Owls were up 22 points in this game.
They were. And as I said, as great as this defense has been, and that felt like the theme coming into this game was just how dominant this defense was, and thusly so. It almost felt like, though, the offense was like, hey, we're pretty good too. Like, we deserve our flowers. And sure enough, Davis Alexander, big play DA, was on one in that first half. He was just dropping dimes like a bank teller. Holy jeez. So good. So good.
Was it? And Davis had a great half. He really did. He had a great half. Everything seemed to be going well. Davis was coming into the game at 6-0 in career starts, looking to go 7-0, which would be is now, because he did get the win. Is the second best start for a career by a quarterback in CFL history.
Tied with Jeff Garcia and Bo Levi Mitchell. That's some pretty good company right there.
Yeah, exactly. And as I said, the team was just on it. I mean, in the first half, not a single 2-and-out. This team did not have their first 2-and-out until 5 minutes left in the fourth. That goes to show what type of offense it was this week. And obviously, as everybody who watched the game, there was a wrinkle. There really was a wrinkle. And we're curious to know how bad this wrinkle could be. And we might as well go ahead and talk about, because there are still a lot of accolades, because again, the defense stood out again. The same guys who did what they normally do. I mean, the defense played well, but
no
Davis
touchdowns
in
the
third. Yeah.
No
and
defensive
Davis
touchdowns.
Well, but you know what? The way they played, strip sack by Bev in the fourth quarter, and did you see it? So, considering how big a guy that Isaac Ademi-Berglund is, you see how spry he got up and was like boink, and got onto that ball to get that ball, the fumble recovery. I mean,
absolutely. you absolutely love to see it, and again, we know how inspired Isaac Ademi-Berglund has been ever since being soundly defeated by Brady Oliveira for the most outstanding Canadian. I still say he's the uncrowned most outstanding Canadian. And my goodness, I know it's early, only 3 games in, but he's making another case to become most outstanding Canadian, at least for the Western or the Eastern Division, yet again in 2025.
And we might have to go ahead and talk about, because we know how well Davis did, and we'll talk about it too. But this is, I don't know if we could call this something that's been brewing for a couple of weeks. Davis pulls up lame in the middle third quarter, and you and I right away knew what it was. I mean, it seems like he's either tweaked, pulled, cramped, whatever it was on his hamstring. But the thing is, though, as some people have said, and I've seen it on social media, have seen in person. We saw it at camp actually early on. It's very possible that Davis has been fighting a potential hammy issue, and he seemed to pull it tonight. And he was taken out of the game at the time the Owls were well ahead, and MBT came in, and that's the reason why they got MBT and traded for him and signed him for that 1-year contract here to back up Davis as a just in case and to, be mentored. Um, when I saw that occur for Davis, uh, it was a giant uh-oh that came to mind. And
Mhm.
Alouettes fans and Alouettes Nation remember what happened last year to Cody Fajardo. Yeah, Cody also pulled up lame. It seemed to be worse with Cody. Now, obviously, this is in the early days right now. We don't know much information. We'll see how much the Owls give away. We'll see how much Coach Moss gives away, which probably won't be much. But
0.
yeah, I know. So, being the score that it was, it looks like Davis wanted to come in. If I remember correctly, at Toronto, he may have had the home opener versus Toronto, a potential same issue, but he came back in.
Yep.
Um, what was your first thought when you saw it? Do you agree with me when it comes to the Cody thing? Could it be like Cody's situation, or is it right now? It's really just a wait and see.
You're not wrong in thinking of that. And again, absolutely, Alouettes fans would have had flashbacks of last year when Cody Fajardo pulled up lame, I believe, against Toronto. It was a little bit later on. I think at that point, the Alouettes, I think, were 5-0 and lost their first game. To see Davis Alexander pull up lame like that is always concerning, especially since, again, he balled out in a big way in that first half and was looking to just keep on dominating as well. And for that to happen, like, you're hoping it's just a cramp. You're hoping it's, something minor. But as you alluded to, we did see that in training camp, and it is definitely a cause for concern. I sincerely hope. I mean, he even had his helmet on at one point. Like, I think if they absolutely needed him to go back in, they would have. But I mean, he had built up such a comfortable cushion points wise that it would have been absolutely ridiculous for him to go back in, especially the way Edmonton was playing too, because they were playing desperate football and it was working because they managed to put points on the board and mount a comeback of sorts. But the wise move would be to keep Davis Alexander on the sidelines and let McLeod Bethel Thompson finish this game, even though he was fine. He didn't look outstanding, but he wasn't terrible either. He didn't make any mistakes. No. He did what was expected out of him, and that's what we said when the Alouettes acquired him, is that you're not bringing this guy in to be your starter. You're not bringing this guy in to win football games. You're bringing him in mostly to not, if he has to play, he's not going to lose you the football game. And at that point, as I said, the Alouettes built up a serious cushion. As long as he, was mindful of the ball, make sure didn't make any mistakes or anything like that, the Alouettes were more than likely going to walk away with out of Commonwealth with this victory. And sure enough, they did.
They did. And just by thinking of what the potential schedule will be coming up for this week, Owls, I'm sure, will either have their first practice on Monday or Tuesday with them playing on Friday in Hamilton. Mm-hmm. Again, I understand it's early days, it's early times, but with all honesty, Cliff, I would not be surprised if Davis does not play this week and MBT gets to start. Sorry, next week versus Hamilton. But again, anything can happen. We'll see. We'll see if there is any comments from Coach Moss for post game, and we'll go from there. So, but
and let's not forget, if you were to ask Davis right now, he'd say he's fine. He'd say, "I'm good. I could have gone back in there, no problem." But that's that warrior mentality that all these guys have, is that they're young, they're invincible. They think that they can handle anything, and sometimes you got to save them from themselves. And I think that was absolutely 100% the case here. And again, it's not like MBT made any major mistakes. I mean, he wasn't outstanding in relief of Davis Alexander, but he was not terrible either. I mean, he was a caretaker, I guess, a bus driver, as they like to say,
with a nice beard.
A very
bus
nice
driver
beard,
with a very nice beard. By the way, just off topic here. Speaking of nice hair, did you notice that Cody has longer hair?
Yeah, growing out that a little bit.
Yeah.
kind of funny to see. Funny, I did not expect to see both backup quarterbacks in the game at some point today. I figured Cody, yes, because he does do short yardage for the Elks. I was not expecting MBT to be in the game, and the fact that, and they talked about it too on the TSN broadcast, is that these two quarterbacks were on the opposite teams this time last year, which is kind of wild to think when you really think about it. It's like, wow, that's just what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Coming into this game, as we say, we've seen how well that the Owls have been doing on offense, and tonight was just like it's been for the past two games. The Owls were able to start off the game, Cliff, with for a touchdown on their first offensive drive. First time that they have done that, by the way, in basically a full calendar season. So 18 games since the last time they did that. And I'm still waiting to find out from Steve Daniel, by the way, when's the last time that the Owls started off a game with two consecutive drives to start a game for touchdowns? I can only imagine when that, maybe AC days when they were, who knows? But I'll let everybody know that on socials for what once I get the information. Again, the offense itself just did it. It's Charles Rambo is back. He played a large part in this. Stevie Scott got some reps tonight. It seemed to really be unlike last week, and maybe it would have been different if Travis Tice would have been in there. But STE, Sean Thomas Erlington, he did well. I felt at one point again that the Alouettes were getting away from the run, but near the fourth quarter they started to use him. And Stevie, as we saw, he scored a I would say, based on the score now, what scores now, he scored a very important touchdown, a rushing touchdown there in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. I mean, the angry runs that come out of STE are a sight to behold, and so happy that he was able to get the tutty. As you said, in a perfect world, that would have been the final nail in the coffin for the Elks. But as the saying goes, they wrote him off, but they didn't wrote back. And again, you gotta give him credit for not giving up. I mean, it would have been very easy at that point too. Once Sean Thomas Erlington scored that touchdown, to be like, okay, live to fight another day. Time to go home, pack it in. No, they weren't having any of that. They marched back. They kept on going, and they made a game of it. I mean, by and large, they really did make a game of it.
They did. And again, the Owls were very successful on second down tonight, Cliff. I mean, they ended up at 52.4%, 11 of 21. As I said, that was probably helping a lot again with the multitude of drives that went beyond more than just two plays itself. And God, I'm looking at this. They ended up both having 24 first downs each. At one point, it was just, Owls by a mile, but total offensive yards was 427 for the Owls, 412 for Edmonton. This is one thing. I don't know if it's a concern really, because really the first time this year that the Owls have gone up a running back of this caliber. But at one point, I think it was early in the first half, or by halftime, the Owls had already given up 100 yards rushing. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, as I said, I know it's something that can be fixed. But what were your thoughts on the run defense for the Owls tonight?
Well, as you recall, last year that was their Achilles heel. This Alouettes defense, as dominant as they were at times, they had a very hard time stopping the run. And Justin Rankin is definitely a very talented running back. And Javon Leak got spelled some runs as well. So I mean, Edmonton had a pretty decent ground attack, and they made the Alouettes work for it. I mean, is it a concern? It's always going to be a concern, I think, especially based off of last year. And I'm not saying that's the reason why the Alouettes didn't repeat as Grey Cup champions, because they couldn't stop the run, but it is something to take into consideration, especially to like just how well this defense has been playing. When they make outstanding plays like that, it's easy to overlook something like the run defense, but you really can't. And especially not against a team like Edmonton, who, again, they wanted to show out for their fans and, really show that, okay, we're dedicated to winning. And especially after losing their first game in BC, coming home in front of their fans for the first time, they wanted to put on a show. And ultimately they did. It's just kind of too little, too late, unfortunately for Edmonton. But give them a lot of credit. They did what they had to do. They played a very solid game. They made Montreal work, and I think that if you were going to beat Montreal, that would be how you do it. You have to make them earn everything. And this Montreal defense, I mean, they're still fantastic. They're still a dominant force. All those guys are just absolute beasts. But I mean, tonight, I won't say they got showed up necessarily, but you know, we expect better out of them. And I think, especially after the first two games, we saw just how dominant they can be, and they were still dominant tonight, but they let Edmonton hang around, and that is something you definitely don't want to do, especially against any team in the Canadian Football League. But I mean, Edmonton, like I said, they were wanting it just as bad. So more stuff to get cleaned up, I guess. And I'm sure they just want, at that point too, they probably just wanted to get the hell out of there too and just go home. Like I'm sure in their head they had the win sewn up. Let's just, it's a formality at this point. Let's just get off the field, don't get hurt, and be done with it.
That might have been the problem, though, because I don't want to say that the defense got complacent in the fourth quarter. There were a couple of plays we saw there. I didn't expect Dequoy to get burned like he did, or lose the ball in the lights on one of the touchdowns late in the fourth for Edmonton. It's funny. It seemed to be once MBT got into the game, the Owls were committing more penalties. I was like, what's going on? It was a switch of quarterback. Your guys are doing a lot more penalties than you should. It really wouldn't have mattered, I think, offensive wise anyways, because it was on plays that didn't get them first downs and stuff like that. But it was still shooting themselves in the foot. Do you find that they were getting complacent, or do you think that the defense was just getting tired? Which is a weird thing to say, considering that I think that the game itself was almost time-wise, it was almost even for time of possession.
Could be a little of column A, a little of column B. I mean, when you're up by so many points, too, it is very easy to be complacent. And this was something I talked about last year with his team. They started out 10-1, and then they started coasting, and it was evident they were coasting. And you got to see a little bit of that tonight as well, I think. I mean, they were probably gassed too. I mean, like towards the end. I mean, like, let's not forget too, 2-hour time difference, flying out there, and then they're flying back. Like, it's a very quick in and out trip. I mean, their body clocks have got to be thrown just a little bit, but I mean, it's not an excuse because all the other teams in the East have to go out there and play. But yeah, maybe there was a little bit of complacency there, especially when you build up such a big lead. It's kind of easy to feel that, like, okay, we got this, but nothing's a given until you see zeros on the clock. Nothing is guaranteed.
Yeah, and props to the special teams for most of the game. On a surprise onside kick early in the second half, we're able to come up with that, and just on that one where Edmonton got the ball back late in this fourth, just almost got that ball back. It just happened to go off the Alouettes defender, and Edmonton was able to recover, and they weren't really able to do anything with it, but.
You know what, though? I have to take a look at it again. It felt like Jordan Mason, who the ball touched him, as opposed to, I think he was trying to field the ball, and I think it just grazed him enough so it became live. Because I feel like if he didn't try to touch the ball, I don't think it would have gone the 10 yards, to tell you the truth.
Yep, I agree. Moved.
So again, it's one of those things that, again, we're not at practice every day, so we don't know just how much special teams gets practice, especially something like onside kicks. I mean, I know Byron Archambault tries to do his best to, beat it into these guys that, you got to watch out for certain situations. You got to, anticipate just about any possibility when it comes to an onside kick. But yeah, I think Jordan Mason, I think he would have loved to have had that back. On the other side, though, Hakeem Harris, that recovery was absolutely beautiful. I mean, and also too, going for an onside kick with 13 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, that was certainly a choice. I mean, not one I would have expected out of a special teams guru like Mark Killam, but I guess the desperation had crept in at that point. And, at that point, you're throwing stuff against the wall to see what sticks. But, yeah, props to Hakeem Harris. I mean, that was a great recovery, and I believe Montreal turned that into a field goal too. So.
Yeah,
Well done.
exactly. Obviously, by the way, we appreciate all you night owls for joining us here for Flight Deck Live After Dark. Um,
Maybe
um,
not quite,
uh,
but yes.
yeah, yeah, make sure you guys do chime in. We want to hear from you if you're able to. We just love to want to see what you guys think about the game itself, and from that. But talking about, I said, let's get some props here to the guys here, Cliff. Davis Alexander, 20 of 24 for 254 yards, 3 touchdowns. For I think it's his first 3 touchdown game of his career. He was well, in my opinion, well on his way to shattering his record from his personal record, personal best from last week, if he hadn't pulled up with the hamstring.
Yeah.
Um, Davis was just on, as you said. I think at the beginning of the show, he was just on. He was just on, and it everything showed that he was seeing everything properly, using all the wide receivers. Looking at
Using
every single
fullback.
wide receiver. Yeah, 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 yeah. So I mean, and didn't do that much running. Just one good play at the beginning of the game, but that's really all that Davis really had rushed. But still, Davis did well, and then we got then MBT came in 6 of 8 for 77 yards. Didn't do really that much. A coverage sack in the fourth quarter on MBT, but then again, as I said, a lot of penalties for some reason on the Alouettes O line or Alouettes offense. And it was just getting a little frustrating, and it also helped. I think it also helped Edmonton get back into the game. But you know, Trey Ford, as you were saying, give props to Trey Ford. He did what he needed to do. As I said, they outscored the Owls in the fourth quarter by 12 for a particular reason. So, um, as I said, just a little too late. But
Yeah.
um,
And it's funny.
the leading,
It wasn't so much his scrambling ability that got the points on the board for Edmonton, but he was hucking some dimes out there, and
Mhm.
got to give him credit for that. I mean, being able to move the ball, like really stretch the secondary and make him pay was absolutely phenomenal. So I mean, you got to tip your cap to him. I mean, he was going to go down fighting, and that's exactly what he did, and got to respect that for sure.
Yeah. Sean Thomas Erlington led the team with 63 yards, that one touchdown in the fourth quarter on 11 attempts. It's actually nice to see, Cliff. 3 straight weeks. Alouettes running backs getting 10 plus touches so far a game. That bodes well, considering what we saw last year. And as I said, at one point, I really thought they gave up on the rush, but they used the rush in the fourth quarter to their advantage.
Yeah, Sean Thomas Sterlington was having none of that. Like you got to feed him the rock, and I think too that probably helped MBT as well because again, he doesn't have to be the hero. He wasn't brought in to be the hero to win the game for the Alouettes. He just has to stay the course, and the best way to do that. You hand the rock off to STE. Good things are going to happen. You hand it off to Stevie Scott. No problem there. He was pretty solid in his 2025 debut as well. But Sean Thomas Erlington, man, he just keeps on going and absolutely fantastic. I mean, is it weird to call him an unsung hero because he's playing so well, but kind of gets lost in the fact that he's not making those insane touchdown catches from Davis Alexander. But he, in his own way, he's contributing to this team and becoming very valuable as a result of it.
Yeah, exactly. And by the speaking of the Russian game, our friend Chris in Halifax, he's really staying up late with us tonight. He says, I enjoyed MBT's attempt at hurdling the Elks.
You know what's funny? MBT's wife works for Marvel. Meanwhile, that was a Superman kind of leap in the air. I'm like, you got your things mixed up, bud. I mean, but I can't think of anyone else doing a Superman-esque, leap in the air from the Marvel universe. So I couldn't use that expression, but yeah, I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. That was quite the leap in the air.
and obviously, Chris, we appreciate you staying up this late because it's almost 2 a.m. Atlantic. So we appreciate you, dude. We really do.
100%.
It's you're talking about the rushing. We used to talk about Scott. Only 7 attempts, but 17 for 17 yards for Stevie Scott. But he was, as you said, I was impressed so far with the early bit that he had in his debut. Receiving wise, Tyson Philpott led the team with in receiving 96 yards and a touchdown. Those two finally got together on that nice dime in that first quarter. Man, well, that was a great pass to Tyson from Davis. Second on the team was Charleston Rambo. No touchdown, but 77 yards. Great way to make his debut. His return. His return to the Alouettes roster with that great catch. And I tell you, man, the other touchdown went to Tyler. The need for Sneed.
Oh my! Talk about a moonshot from Davis, and he even threw off his back foot. And normally, you don't want to see your quarterback do that, but he hucked it there. And Sneed was all alone. He was on an island, completely surrounded by nothing in the end zone. Are you kidding me? Like I don't know who the defensive backs coach is for the Elks, but you got to have a talk with your boys because you cannot leave Cahoon 3.0 all by himself like that. His roommate, Davis Alexander, is going to find him. If he's open, he's going there. And Sneed was open all night like a 7-Eleven, which, by the way, they do have those in Edmonton. So
he was open from the snap. I was waiting to see the camera from far up. He was open from the snap. And as any good football fan will know, that type of situation when it comes to those type of plays, Cliff, it's either we're going to be 100% caught or zero, or it's going to be dropped. And luckily, Sneed was there. No worries. Touchdown for the Owls. And as I said, it's just they were clicking. They were clicking. And I really wanted to see. I can imagine that this Alouettes team could easily have scored in the high 40s if Davis had stayed in the game. And it wouldn't have gone down to 10 points. But woulda, coulda, shoulda. Again, we're thinking about what's going to be happening to Davis for next week. Any other thoughts when it comes to the game itself? I know we talked about how well they did when it came to 2 and outs, how well they did on second downs tonight. Any other comments on the offense before we talk about, once again, this amazing defense that this Alouettes franchise has this year?
Well, as I said, I think the offense wanted to showcase that this is a dominant football team, and it's not just a one-trick pony as far as the defense goes. And yeah, people are going to think about this defense all day long. They were during the pregame show and even throughout the broadcast as well on TSN. That's the one thing they kept hammering home was, Alouettes defense, top of the league. This. Like, it was just defense. And it really just felt like to me like Davis Alexander and company was like, we're pretty dominant in our own right here. And I guess we just got to show y'all. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, like, as good as what this defense is, that's how good the offense was, especially in the first half tonight. It was just absolutely sensational to watch. I mean, it just makes for a far more balanced attack. And just, again, showcasing beyond a shadow of a doubt that this Montreal Alouettes team, 1, is for real. 2, arguably the class of the league. And, I'm curious to see everybody's little power rankings next week. Again, even though Edmonton gave them some fits, I don't see how how do you not put this team number 1 in your power rankings?
Pete, you know what? Keep them out of number 1. Keep them out of number 1. It's going to give them more things to think about, more bulletin board material. That's what I say.
Fire. Yeah, I'm sure.
Exactly.
And I guarantee if you were asked them, like, F your power rankings, man.
Yeah. By the way, so we're talking about the defense, and this is a great comment. We're going to go ahead and leave with this. We're talking about superheroes and stuff like that. Chris again comes in with a hot one. KB Nanto being able to stop a drive when it was needed. This was the type of thing where you and I went back and forth on Caveman's interception, basically right at the gun at the end of the second quarter. We went with the tried and true, keep calm and KB on. Copyright pending now, Montreal Alouettes. My yoink, because to me that's what it was. It was a Scooby-Doo yoink. It just came across. I honestly thought that he had caught the ball, but then you saw Cabin come in like that, and man, What a play! What a play to keep them off the board, for the Owls to go into the locker room, and for them to get the ball to start the second half.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but did KB and Ento not have a pick in the end zone last year against Edmonton,
I
or even
think
the
he
year
did.
before?
Well, I'm also remembering what he did in the Grey Cup in
Well, yeah,
23.
yeah,
I
you'd be
mean,
remiss not to mention that as well. And I mean, all this to say that KB Nento has a penchant. This is kind of his thing, right? It's kind of a calling card, if you will, to snuff out an offensive drive like that, and it's absolutely phenomenal to see. He just does it and makes it look so easy as well.
mhm. Yeah, and by the way, yeah, I understand that KBN got it. It was a play in the third quarter where it was a PI was called, or a PI was called, and props to the refs for thinking about it, because that ball was nowhere even close to being caught, and them calling incidental contact, because that's what it
Yeah,
was.
you're
KBN
right.
tripped on the turf, went into the Elks wide receiver, and that's why they both went down. So if they called anything else beyond that, I've been like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Again, could I think it was Stephen Dunbar? Could he have caught that ball? Maybe, maybe not. I just the trajectory that they showed tells me no. There's no way in hell he would have been able to catch that. But
Right.
you just never know, right? So, and I guess that's why they throw the flag, is because, well, there's a possibility he could have caught it. And
Yeah,
but again,
exactly.
true to form though, the referees, cooler heads prevailed. They thought about it, and yes, incidental or accidental pass interference, and it's only a 10-yard penalty as opposed to the ball being put at the spot of the foul, which would have really put the Elks
Yeah.
very almost into the red zone if I'm not mistaken. So,
Yeah,
or at least
yeah,
at
it
least
would
in
have.
a very good, it would give them a very good opportunity to possibly put points on the board, and
Yeah,
instead just 10-yard penalty. So I'm
yeah.
good with that.
By the way, do you agree with Chris's assist? I'll put it back up on the board here. Love KB and Into's interception at the end of the first half. If Elks score, there could have made a difference, because at the point, if the Elks had scored, it would have been 24-13 at half,
Mhm.
rather than 24-6.
Absolutely, it would have made a huge difference had Edmonton been able to score. Instead, snuff the drive. Again, this Noel Thorpe defense for the first three quarters basically pitched a shutout. Only field goals were scored
Mhm,
by the Edmonton
mhm.
Elks during the first three quarters. That's incredible. That is, again, a credit to Noel Thorpe and just his teaching, his coaching, and how he's able to get the very best out of his defensive charges. Absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I can go on and on about this defense and how incredible they are when it counts the most.
Exactly. Defense, defense, defense. Let's talk about these guys, man. We already talked about the Demi Berglund pop up and
Recovery.
grab. Whatever term I used before. big man, big man getting that. Obviously, the strip by Tyves Beverett. So he got. I think he got credited for the sack. Bev got the sack this week. Sean Oakman, Kenton Arku. Wow, they only gave Kenton Arku. So they only gave him one? They only
That
gave
does,
him one.
that doesn't seem right.
Well,
Again,
I'm wondering if they call it because it was a strip. Because I think he also may have been down. Trey Ford's knee may have been down before Kenton Arku was there. So I guess they didn't. It,
maybe.
again, currently they have only one listed. Al's for the game had a ton. Holy crap! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 sacks. While Ukalak late in the fourth, Demi Berglund had one. Um, uh, you know, again, it's the defense is showing up. They're getting to the quarterback when they need to. They're causing plays, as I said. The Beverage strip allowed the Alouettes to get the ball in deep in Elks territory in the fourth quarter, when Demi Berkland was able to, uh, you know, be able to recover the fumble. They did a great job tonight. I just, again, I don't know if they were gassed in the fourth quarter. Um, there really wasn't anything when it came to the Owls defense this week that was really egregious that I really noticed. They were playing their butts off. Again, it was the only thing that I really can't remember if there was anything else that really stood out to me that was either concern, but and there's a lot to love about this defense.
There really is. And they just keep coming. They keep coming and they don't stop. It really is like a buzzsaw. They just cut right through and just they get to the quarterback. They make the quarterback make mistakes. And that's exactly what you want this defense to do. And again, all the credit to Noel Thorpe for coming up with the schemes that he does and just getting the absolute most out of his players. Even Marc-Antoine Dequoy, like he did not have his best game tonight, but he damn near had another. He just like last week, batted the ball in the air, and if he could have caught that interception, I don't think it would have necessarily had to pick six like what Wesley Sutton did last week. But if he'd done that, that would have been absolutely impressive. But instead, he had a couple of not so great moments, unfortunately, and maybe he was upset because he lost the Quebec version of "I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here." He made it to the finals. He was the last person eliminated. Yeah.
Oh, Kel Surprise.
Yeah.
Chime in here from Raymond Newton. He says, props to the Elks running back Rankin is reminiscent of Stanbeck moves and power. Again, I think that's one of the reasons why the Elks had a at half. I mean, potential.
Yeah, no, Rankin was just on one for sure. Like I said, very tough to stop and just kept churning his legs as well. And when needed, he was able to turn the Jets on, which, again, that's what you expect. Like, again, that's what William Stanbeck did back in the day for the Alouettes. Walter Fletcher was able to do that for the Alouettes. And we're now starting to see that Sean Thomas Erlington and Travis Tice are able to do that for the Alouettes. So, I mean, like that to me is a hallmark of a great running back, is someone who can just keep churning those legs and don't stop until the echoes of the whistles. I mean, it's phenomenal. And yeah, absolutely, Rankin is someone that Edmonton fans should be extremely excited about, because if they keep feeding him the rock, great things are going to happen there as well. Tim? Oh. Okay. Let me expand on some stuff too, I guess. So I think unfortunately Tim's had some technical difficulties. Let me see if I can get some more comments here from everybody. Oh, back to our man Chris. Disappointed not seeing Fajardo get into the game for just one drive. Well, I mean, you're right. I mean, aside from the short yardage situation, yeah. And I'm sure Fajardo had this game circled on his calendar as well. He wanted to, I don't want to say show up the Alouettes, but I mean, ultimately the Alouettes chose Davis Alexander over Cody Fajardo, and it's early still, but that was the right decision to make. And props to the Alouettes for believing in Alexander and giving the opportunity to shine. And that's exactly what he did, not just tonight, but so far this season, he's been doing great. Still got love for Cody though, because, he did help bring this Alouettes team a Grey Cup in 2023. And in a perfect world, there would have been some way to keep him. But I think really, in all reality, you had to give the keys over to Davis Alexander. You got to let him drive the car. And look, he's been doing a phenomenal job so far. So props to that. Let's see. What else we got here? All right. Josh Prescott. I'd like to see Alexander take a game or two off after tonight. You try to stop Davis Alexander from playing. That's the thing. It's that warrior mentality that these guys have. Is like they could be missing a limb and they'd be like, you know what, I'm fine, I'm good, I'll keep on going. And sometimes you got to save these guys from themselves. I mean, could Davis have come back into this game? I'm sure he could have, and he would have gutted it out, and you'd still see him wincing on the sidelines or even during the play as well. And that's not going to help the Alouettes in any way, shape, or form. All we can do now is just hope that get back to Montreal, get the trainers to take a look at him, and hopefully it's just maybe even just a cramp. If that's all it is, then then that's fine. Then yeah, absolutely let him play against Hamilton. But you know what? Maybe this is an opportunity as well, just to see not just MBT, but even Caleb Evans, who had a very phenomenal training camp for the Alouettes and looked like the quarterback that a lot of people expected him to be when he first came into this league. So there's a good opportunity for him as well if if so desired. So I definitely think there's potential there as well. So, I guess all we can do at this point, I mean, enjoy the win tonight. There's no question about that. But hopefully maybe finding a way for, Davis Alexander continue. But if not, MBT can definitely handle the load. I think Caleb Evans could shock a lot of people as well. Let's not forget, too, Caleb Evans won 2 games as a starter for the Montreal Alouettes in 2023. And even though last year he didn't look the best, and that's what ultimately led into Davis Alexander taking over the starting quarterback role here in Montreal. But the possibilities are endless. Wow, this is really something for Tim. Missing out on the show, but it's okay. Listen, if you folks got any more comments, questions, concerns, let me have them. I'm here for you guys. So make sure you're following us on our socials as well, whether it's on X, Facebook Live, or on YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you hit it with a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit the notification bell so that you know that when we do go live, you're going to be notified of it, or when the next episode of the Alouettes Flightdeck drops. Oh, hold on. Do we have Mr. Capper? Oh, there we go.
Oh my God. That's a first, having to switch to my phone like that.
Well, you're back, and
I'm back as I guess I could be.
All good though. We held down the fort for you, so it's all good. It's all good.
Greatly appreciated. So I mean, it's where were we?
Well, I spoke with a couple of folks here. Put a couple comments in, just talking about do we give Davis Alexander the next game off? And it all depends too, as far as I'm concerned, what the doctors say when he gets back to Montreal. Hopefully it is just a cramp or just a slight pull of the hamstring, but you definitely don't want to put your starting quarterback and ultimately your franchise in harm's way, especially when you have MBT that can take it. And I even talked about Caleb Evans, who had a very phenomenal training camp.
Yep.
There could be a possibility for him to get in there and maybe even get a start if need be. But ultimately, I think they would end up going with MBT. If he had to start against Hamilton next week, that's very much a possibility as well. But I guess we'll see what happens when this training staff gets a chance to look at Alexander properly. And all you can do at this point is hope for the best, but prepare for the worst.
No, that's true. And again, I saw that comment before everything went to ruins here at
Flightdeck headquarters.
Flightdeck Live. Now it's mobile headquarters. Yeah, and because I have nothing here in front of me now. I don't have any of my stats and stuff like that. I think that, I think it's a smart idea when it comes to the thing about Davis. If they need to give him a game off, go ahead and do so. Again, as I said before earlier in the show, we'll find out a little bit more when it comes to hopefully the team will tell us at least something, or if we'll get the same old answer from coach that, yeah, everything's okay, that type of thing. But let's take this, we have MBT, let's go ahead, and I think we'll be okay with it. So, I mean, that's fine. That's fine. So,
as I said, he's not going to win you games, but he's not going to lose you games either. So,
yeah,
maybe we see some sort of hybrid of MBT and Caleb Evans. I mean, that's certainly a possibility as well. But again, we're getting way too ahead of ourselves.
Yeah,
Let's just see what happens. We're obviously hoping the best for Davis. I'm sure he's on cloud 9, despite the little hiccup there. And I mean, 7-0 as to start his career as a starting quarterback in the Canadian Football League is incredible, absolutely incredible.
Yeah, exactly. And again, we'll see what happens. So, I guess that really isn't much to say. I said the Owls do get to 3-0 on the season. It is early. They got Hamilton coming up next week, but as a reminder, we will talk about this more in detail on the podcast on Wednesday. So stay tuned for that. If you happen to miss any of this broadcast with Cliff or sans Tim, you can make sure that you check over the archive over at X, Facebook, and YouTube. And make sure you do listen. It came out a little bit late this week, but make sure you go listen to the I guess we call it the podcast with the preview show that we had with the voice of the Elks. That was fun. Morley Scott. That was cool.
Yeah, absolutely. A fun a new perspective, a new voice here on the Alouettes Flight Deck to offer up his thoughts on the Edmonton Elks. And I mean, again, go back and listen, folks. And were we right? Were we wrong? Was Morley right? Was Morley wrong? I mean, or was it just a little from column A for a little from column B again? Yeah. In any event, if you haven't had a chance to go and listen to the interview with Morley Scott, by all means, do so.
This is the time I need a drink. Oh my God. The first, hey, remember what you said before, Cliff? Anything can happen when you are live.
If that's not proof positive, I don't know what is. I mean, hell, I thought maybe a player was going to crash this live, which would be remarkable because they're in Edmonton and we're in Montreal. So
exactly. So we appreciate every one of you who showed up for this After Dark version of Flightdeck Live. We do appreciate every single one of you. And obviously, we'll talk to you guys very soon. So for the final time here tonight, Alouettes do win 38-28 over the Elks and improve to 3-0. So for the last time, for Cliffy D, I'm Tim Capper. We'll talk to you soon.